Hey everybody, it's Catrice Bailey from When Models Talk. You are now watching episode
Well,
27,
thank you so
part
much for
1,
coming
with
on
special
to
guest
When Models
Antwon
Talk.
Maxwell.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so excited because at first I was nervous, but I always get nervous before I do anything. But now I'm excited because, like, literally, when you open up your mouth and just ask somebody something, you get blessings and favor. And he said yes, so he is on When Models Talk. But let me introduce you real quick for those who do not know who you are. So let me get my notes because I gotta say my introduction correctly. And if I say something incorrect, just correct me. If I say a name wrong.
Gotcha.
Okay. So Antwon Maxwell is a
That's
visionary
correct.
husband. I said it right?
You said it right.
Okay, good. So Antwon Maxwell is a visionary husband, celebrity high-end brand creative director, beauty and fashion photographer, has worked with Jesse Terrero. Did I say his name right?
Yep.
Anthony Hamilton. That's one of my favorite singers. Jordan Woods, Ellis Neal. Okay.
Put a pin in that.
Oh, okay. Also Melissa Williams.
Yep.
Zanique. Ruth E. Carter.
Yep. My
Tony
favorite.
Robinson. Say that again.
No, I was saying Ruth Carter is my favorite.
Yes. Now, okay, so explain who Ruth Carter is, y'all. Now, explain that to everybody.
So Ruth Carter is one of, if not the most well-known Black and a female costume designers of all time. She's done costume designing for Coming to America 1, Coming to America 2, Black Panther, Dolomite, Do the Right Thing, pretty much all the Spike Lee stuff. And her resume is ridiculous, out of this world. And I just tell everybody Google her. She actually has a museum, I think, up until I want to say like June or September of next year, something like that. Wow. Of all of her costumes. Like if you go to her IG, she has it on there. And from what I was told, she's getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as well. Wow. Coming up.
Well deserved.
Yes, well deserved. But you can continue with the. I'm sorry to cut you off about Ruth.
No,
she's like one of my favorite people.
Because some people don't know, and I didn't even know she did all that. I saw Black Panther. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah. Just Google her. Just Google her.
And it's amazing how many amazing Black people we actually have on this earth that's not, a lot of times, not recognized. People, we don't even know who they are.
Right. Yep.
So, okay. So you also, now, he has been, okay, let me get back to what I was reading. Okay, so his photos have been in Victoria's Secret, but his photos have been in Victoria's Secret because of his amazing wife. Now, your wife has a swimwear line, which is called MBM Swim. Did I say that correct?
Yep.
Because sometimes people put official or something else. So,
right.
Yes, and when I say her brand is so beautiful, you could just look at it and see that it's great quality. I'm just like, now we're gonna get to that part. But yes, I was like, hopefully she come on the live, but I don't know.
Right.
So, and he's also worked with and has the cover of Element magazine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he's done so many other things. That's just some of the stuff. You actually have to go on his page and check out, and his website, and check out everything he has done. So, yeah, everybody. So, it's good. And if I don't wave or say, I'll wave. But if I don't say hi to everybody, I'm saying hi in advance. Okay, so we're going to have a great conversation about so many great things. But first, I want to ask you, how did you get into photography?
So how I got into photography, I'm gonna try to make this story as quick as I possibly can. So, pretty much, you know, I work for the federal government. You know, I have a 9 to 5, as well as the photography. And at the time, I was working for DoD in the Army, doing IT, and I applied for a job to go overseas. Got the job, went overseas. Before I went to Walmart and bought I'm like, hey, I'm going overseas. Let me buy another, let me just buy a better camera than just regular point and shoot cameras. And my first DSLR, the lowest one I can find. Didn't really know anything about it, and moved to Korea, South Korea, and I was there for 5 years. And we were there 5 years, and I ended up getting into photography because one of my friends that was there that I met, she wanted to start blogging. So I said, hey, so she was like, hey, do you know any photographers? And I'm like, well, I have a camera. And I feel like I can do anything, no matter what it is. I feel like I have the ability to do anything with my 2 hands. And I went home and just kind of studied like what shutter priority means, aperture, ISO, all these buttons is on my camera. We did the photo shoot. It turned out great, and I fell in love. And at the time, my wife wasn't she wasn't here, or she wasn't in Korea with me at the time. She had flew back for about a few months, and when she came home, I had a whole like photography studio set up in our other part of the apartment that we lived in, and yeah, and that's kind of like where everything kind of started. And I just kind of fell in love with photography and everything that it has that it came with it.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm like, how in the world do you just say, okay, I'm just gonna get a camera and just start taking photos?
Yeah, I just went in there, was like, hey, I want DSLR. I'm like, hey, my first DSLR was a Canon Rebel XF, 10 megapixels, kit lens, probably like $500. Just something that I just wanted to do better at than just regular point and shoot cameras. And that's kind of where everything kind of like took off when I had it. And then from there, I went from the Canon Rebel XS to the Canon T3. And then 3 months later, I got the Canon T3i. And then 6 months later, I did my very first photo shoot with the male model. And I'm like, you know what? I'm shooting this male model. He's really, really good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rent this other camera. And I rented a 5D Mark III, which is literally like 5 steps up from what I had. And what made me enjoy that camera so much, well, one of the things that happened was I was shooting him. I went to Seoul, which is like about 4 hours from where I was. And this guy was from Brazil. And I went to Seoul, and I'm sitting there, and I was so used to photographing my wife or photographing the soldiers' wives, stuff like that. So I get there, and I'm holding the camera, and I'm like, all right, 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, click. And it says stop. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? And he was like, just shoot. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I know how to model. You don't have to count. Just press the button. I took over 4,000 images that day.
Wow.
Shooting. I was just like, as what the photographers calling shoot and spray. I was just shooting and just getting all of these like amazing shots. And I just loved how and I never heard that sound before of the shutter clicking continuously. And it was like music to my ears. And yeah, it's like one of the sexiest sounds I've ever heard in my life.
Yes, well, that's like, it's funny how we basically fall in love with something that you never even had on your radar.
Right.
So that's how it's like, where did this come from?
Right. I never, like, photography was never, ever in any part of my thought. Like, I mean, I had, everybody had a point and shoot, power shot, all those kind of cameras, but never at this level of artistry. I've always been an artist. I draw and I paint, I do all those things, very well. But this type of format of or medium of art was never something that I was interested in. And I'm almost disappointed that it took me this long to get into it, because I would have wanted to have these stories like all of these other photographers that I follow. That's like, oh, I had a film camera and I remember just carrying on a camera my entire life. I don't have those stories. And I feel bad that I don't have those stories, because I feel like, am I a true photographer because I don't have these stories? So I sometimes I feel bad for that reason.
Well, I wouldn't, because because of the fact that you do it so well. Like,
Yeah.
you really capture a person's beauty. You know how to move when it comes to doing a photo, and how to even direct the model.
Right.
So never feel bad of how you started, or not having so much the story of another person, because yours is completely different. Remember that you are an artist,
right?
Which played a lot in when it comes to the vision of a shoot.
Right.
You really can see it. So look, I wouldn't feel bad. I'd be like, look, I'm doing an excellent job, and your track record shows it.
Right.
Because people are requesting you. That it's like, hold on, where did this come from?
Right.
So getting into that, how are you working with so many amazing people, so many people that are maybe at the top of their game, or have been legends in whatever they're doing?
Well, I could definitely tell you that I'm very blessed to be able to I'll tell you this. One of the things that I've always prayed about was being able to leave my footprint on this world in any way that I possibly can. Whether that was helping people out, doing IT, or just being a generous person. I've always wanted to leave something behind that can be my legacy of saying like, oh yeah, I remember this guy, or whatever. And I think photography is a great thing that I do now, that's able to do that. So when I do the shoot for the Holly Robinson Peets and the Sky Jacksons and the Jesse Terreros and the Jordan Woods and the Ruth Carters, all of these things, it allows me, because those photos are going to be everywhere from time and time to come. So that's my footprint in this world on these types of individuals. So it's just, so being able to, so how I kind of got started was Sky Jackson was my very first celebrity that I photographed. And how I got her was, I watched Bunk and the Disney Channel and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I really want to photograph her. Like, she's so adorable. I want to photograph her. All I did was I just Googled, found out who her PR was. They emailed me back. I showed them a portfolio of what I wanted to do with her, and they loved it. And they said, if you can get her team, you can shoot with her. And I'm like, okay. And I hit up her team individually, and they all agreed. And my wife made all of the clothes for the shoot. I said, we got 2 months to do this shoot. And she made every single piece of clothing for Sky Jackson's photo shoot. At this time, Sky was she was 15 at the time. Now she's 18, and she made every single every piece. And the hard part about it was Sky Jackson at the time, she was very small. She still is, but my mannequin is a size 2. Sky Jackson at that time was not a size 2. So basically, my wife had to basically eyeball everything that she did, and everything fit perfect on her. And so from that point, the makeup artist that I picked, or the makeup artist that I hit up, his name is Adam Christopher. Adam Christopher is makeup artist for Holly Robinson Peete. He's been with Holly for over the last 30 years, since she's been on Hangers and Cooper and 21 Jump Street. After the very first shot that he saw, he came to me. He was like, "You're really good." He was like, "You're really, really good. Do you know that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do okay." You know, he was like, "No." He was like, "You're quick. You're good." He was like, "I want to keep in contact with you." So I'm like, "Okay." And I want to say maybe like 3 months after that, he called me while I was I was getting a rental car. He called me and he said, "Hey, are you sitting down?" And I'm like, I mean, I'm in the car. Yeah, I'm sitting down. And he was like, "Do you know Holly Robinson Pete?" And I was like, "Of course I do. Hank Mr. Cooper, 21 Jump Street. Of course. Who doesn't know Holly Robinson Pete?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm with her right now. I just showed her your work with Scott Jackson, and she will love it." And I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing." Perfect.
Wow.
And then shooting Holly just kind of like spun me into this network of people because Holly is old. Holly is old Hollywood. She the Gabrielle Unions and the Samuel Jacksons and the Denzel Washingtons and the Magic Johnsons and that whole network of people. And and ever since then, Holly and I have been like this. She's one of my loyal, I wouldn't even call clients, but just friends. Her loyalty matched. And that's kind of like in using Holly, using Sky Jackson, and a few others have like catapulted me to the Jordan Woods and the Jesse, all the other stuff. So I have a lot of stuff coming out that's in the works. So sorry,
That's
there's a lot,
awesome.
but
No, it's fine because that's awesome because it shows people not just by you reaching out. Just like I said, I reached out and you came with a lot. But just people opening mouth because sometimes I feel like people have this fear of what if rejection. So
right.
It's like I don't want to do that now. My work ain't that good. No, I think we need to have the confidence to say yes. This is something I can do. You got to remind ourselves that everybody's human,
Right.
and if your work speaks for itself because you do such a great job.
Right.
Now, and it just helps when you just happen to connect with somebody that leads to more and more connections.
Right. Right.
So,
Yep.
but it starts with opening your mouth.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to ask anybody anything. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Michelle Obama or Barack Obama. I will shoot my shot because I mean the worst they can say is no or not respond. But at least I tried, and I'm a big advocate for trying and reaching out to people because, like I said, you never know what happens. And me reaching out to Sky Jackson's PR people, they could have said no, but they said yes. And then now it put me in that position where Sky Jackson has used these photos for promotional use. She's used them on just other platforms and other mediums that basically she's done. Even to this day, she still uses those photos. And I'm appreciative of that. Whenever I see my photo on his IG page and it's their little icon, my heart is filled with joy when I see that. Like that makes me so proud of myself because that means that you liked it that much that you made it photo that you see. So
Absolutely, because just like you said, when it comes to when somebody loves what you do, your work, and they use it all the time,
right.
That says a lot. That says a huge thing, especially when years pass and they're still using it.
Right. Exactly.
So now, in order to getting into team, because we're going to get back to that, but I want to get to your team because number one, I'm like, how is he doing all these, like the quality? I love quality of your work, from your website to the photos to everything. I just love the whole creativity of it all.
Right.
And I'm like, so I've been like bragging about you the whole time to my sister, to everybody I can. Say, like everything I'm learning is just amazing. It's just the how you do it, but it's not just one person. It's a team.
Right.
How did you come up with such a great team to be able to execute what you do?
So again, I think it's networking, with the right people. So everybody that I have, everybody that's on my team, that's on my website. You got Cindy, who's my makeup artist. You have Mark Q, who's my stylist, and then you have Yanae, who is my hairstylist, who is also the Obama's hairstylist. She cared for Michelle, Barack, Sasha, Malia. And that's a whole nother thing with Yanae. She's an amazing person. But everybody that is on my team has hired me at one point in time to shoot for them. And the kind of person that I am, when I see good quality and good work, I'm like, man, you know what? We need to work together and just continue to work together, and we build a relationship together. And what ended up happening was Cindy was actually the very first person that I started working with after she hired me for a shoot. And we became really, really close, and we started doing more shoots together. And, I always pick on her because I always tell her that I have two Instagrams. I have mine and I have hers because most of the page. But I feel like we've elevated each other when it comes to my photography and her makeup and her artistry of makeup and how she applies makeup and all that stuff. Same thing for Mark, and the same thing for Yanae. Yanae is already, but just having her as my hairstylist just elevates just that type of quality, because everybody knows when I'm putting together a photo shoot and my team come together and we all come together and we do it together, it's going to be at a higher quality and a higher level. That's one of the things that I get a lot of compliments on, is that my team is very professional, because we all are individuals. Like there is no weak links in my team. Aside from that, I have another set of a team that's more on the support side. Is friend and client Sarah, my friend and client Edward, and Taylor and Sarah kind of like have an agency together they work with. But they're the support that kind of pushed me to change my website, which Ed developed and did. And he is a visionary when it comes to business, and it was like, look, you need to showcase your website and your business as a brand and not just as a photographer. There are so many photographers out here that have their website and it's a portfolio, but it needs to look like you are a brand, and that you're just more than just a photographer, but you're actually a creative director, photographer, a visionary, all this stuff. So that's why my website is shaped the way that it is.
And I saw that as when we were having a pre-interview conversation, and when we were talking, my wheels started spinning because I was like, as a model, you are a brand, and like everything you do is a brand. So you have to start thinking very much so as a business, because you are a business.
Right.
And so I started thinking like, okay, so this is what I can do. Because, if you want to elevate, which is what you have done, because a lot of people think that as soon as the pandemic hit, things are getting shut down. I'm going to lose money more than I make money. But what has really happened with you when it comes to the pandemic? Because I know your I believe your website changed around this time, or was it last year?
My website changed around like October of this year. It changed around October this year. So for me, when COVID happened, when the pandemic happened, for me, nothing really changed, because I was still shooting, not people, but I was shooting products. Or then I had kind of just started shooting products. And what ended up happening was, people were sending me, clients were sending me their lashes, their makeup, all their products. And I basically was shooting their products. And that's how I kind of maintain, the funding for photography. Now, granted, you know, um, my government job was still there, so I was still financially okay. But and also too, because my wife had a swimwear line, I was still able to shoot her stuff.
Yeah.
So we were still able to shoot, and you know, we have a very large balcony. And oh, I just want to mention that Yanae just popped on. I love Yanae. She's so amazing. That's just a side note. Anyways, but so yeah, so with that, you know, we were able to still shoot on the balcony, and we were still able to create content. You know, the whole, you know, that whole jack. So as soon as and one of the things that I did was during the pandemic was my pastor, very small church. I think church, we have like 15 members in our church. And
Okay.
one of the things that happened was he started recording his videos, and he was using a front facing camera of his iPhone. And I was like, all right, I saw the very first service, and I was like, all right, we got
The photographer came out. The videographer came out.
the videography. He kind of like started coming out. So I said, hey man, I'm gonna come to the church. I'm gonna show you what I can do, and we can get this thing, you know, done right. And what I told him was that, you know, I provide a service to people all day long. And you know, why can I not provide that service to the house of God? So, so what I did was every Wednesday, because he had a Thursday Bible study and he had a Sunday service. So every Wednesday around 12 and every Saturday morning, I will go to the church and I basically record the services for him, and literally change his quality of imagery of his videos like night. I mean, literally a change to the point where I would talk to him, tell him what to get. So I just kind of like just coached him up, and now he does it all by himself now with his camera and everything. So I just felt like if I can provide a service to regular people on an everyday basis, why can't I provide a service, you know, to my pastor? And truly believe that by that happening, I really believe that that's how. As soon as the world opened up again in July, it was like God like just like flooded me with just people and business, and I was literally booked like all the time, and to the point where he placed my wife and I, we pray about this all the time. We always ask God to remove the people that should not be in our lives, and bring the people and bring the right people in our lives that's going to help and grow our businesses and our businesses and personally. And he's done that.
Well, that's awesome, because he was like, look, he was like, I didn't even ask you to do that, and you just did it.
Right
then and there, service. Like, it's not, because I feel like sometimes it's like we can do things for money, but certain things you don't always have to do certain things for money. It's just wanting to be of service to someone else. To help them, especially if it's a gift that we have. Technically, that's your gift because it came out of nowhere. You ain't know you had it. But now you do. So that's amazing that you were able to actually do that for him. And not only that, but you taught him how to do it for himself. So now it's not like he's dependent on you to do it, but he can do it whether you're booked or not.
I told him, I said, hey man, I said, I don't know what's going to happen when everything opened back up. And I was like, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be busy. So let me train you and teach you and teach our other friend that goes to the church what to buy and how to do this thing. So that way, when that time comes and I'm not available, you guys can just like keep moving and keep it going. And sure enough, you know, they've been doing a really good job. Every now and then I'll see little things when I'm on YouTube, like, and I'll text them. I'm like, we need to talk.
The perfectionist part.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. But that's great. That's great that you even did that for him.
Yeah.
Now you might have to go back and do it. Just a little training.
Yeah.
A little extra training.
It's a little, I got to go back in and kind of give a little, pep talk of certain things. But in that, I mean, he's so far ahead from where he was to where he is now. I'm definitely proud of both of them for just keeping it up and doing a great job at it.
Okay, so getting into the training part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do workshops teaching different things. So what are some of those workshops, and will you continue to do them?
So, the workshops that I do is basically, I'm all about lighting. So, what my workshop is called Lighting is Everything. And I basically just teach photographers, beginners or experienced, whatever, how to light, their subjects, in this kind of way or that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
What I have realized is that, and I'm a very transparent person. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I've realized is that, I'm not emotionally ready yet to teach those kind of things. What's going on, Dave? I'm not there yet. I'm still a lover of just being behind the camera. I do know that there are some photographers that reach a certain level of their artistry of photography where they can teach and
Mm-hmm.
more than they shoot, or they shoot as they're teaching. But I'm not there yet, and I think I don't know when the next time. Like, I'll do one-on-ones, but I don't know when the next time I'm going to do an actual workshop, um, because it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I've just realized I'm a one-on-one kind of a teacher. I'm not a group of 30 teacher.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Because
just
I was like, oh, he does workshops. That's great. And look, that's another way of making income.
It is. It is. Trust me. Eventually, it will be. Eventually, that time will come where.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, teaching 30 people, I like teaching individuals
Mm-hmm.
of the one-on-ones, because I feel like I can dedicate my full and undivided attention to that individual and not 30 different personalities,
Yeah.
or 30 different people. Not sure when I'm gonna do another workshop, but definitely ones I'm still gonna do.
Okay, awesome. Because it's good that you understand yourself.
Right,
Because some people try to take on a lot and then be like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
right,
Versus you're like, okay, wait a minute. I know myself. I know what I can handle and I know what I cannot handle. Right now, 30 is not for me.
right,
But one-on-one is great because I can give the person any and everything, just like the pastor. I can give him that information that he needs to move forward in what he's doing.
right.
So
Exactly.
so I think that's a great idea because either way, it's still money coming in.
Right. Yeah. It's still a little passive income coming in, money coming in.
Yeah.
But I think once I get to that point, and also I feel like, and I know this is gonna sound extremely crazy, but people look at me and they think that I'm like this whatever photographer. I literally am. I'm not gonna say like everybody else, but I still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm not there yet to teach a group of people this like whole scope of photography, because I can tell you right now, I'm not that technical of a photographer. Um, a lot of my skill is, I feel like, God given gift, and I'm still able to teach people, but there's some people that need to know that technical piece, and
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I don't read my histogram. I don't do I don't do rule of thirds. I don't do the 45 degree. Mine might be at 18. I don't know. I just shoot what looks good, and I put my light where it needs to be. Um,
Mhm.
it looks good to me.
All right, now look, you got your way of doing it, and it works.
Yes.
So I know that I don't know if I got a chance to talk about it, but you have an ebook.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So the ebook was, I'm not gonna say it was forced on me, but I have a really good friend of mine. Her name is Tiffany, and she's a makeup artist, and she's also like a writer, and she wears that, and she
Mhm.
out to me, and she was like, "Hey, you need to do an ebook." And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Let me just shoot. And then she's like, no, 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 I'll do it for you. All you
Mhm.
gotta do is talk to me, write down the notes. I'm gonna do it for you. It's gonna be great. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So we spent about 3 days on the phone and we talked, and she yeah, just wrote down basically everything that I was saying. And,
Mhm.
and a few months later, here's his ebook. And,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And um everyone that has downloaded it and bought it and read it, everyone has had like amazing things to say about it. They're like, is well written. Um,
That's
Everything about it, like it was just great. We actually, my wife and I, I was actually contacted by Behind the Shutter magazine,
okay.
and asked me to do an article about posing. And so I think I posted it on my
Mhm.
and um, I'm like, okay, whatever. And my wife, Marcia, was like, I have a really good idea. How about we do this? She says, how about we put a spin on it and basically do posing in the right light?
Mm.
Oh, that's a good idea. So I told her, I was like, look, if you write it, I'll give you the money they're gonna give me, and then you can have it. And then she's all
Mhm.
right. Maybe like 2 days, a day, actually maybe like a day, and wrote the whole article. The fifth, it was like, I think it was like maybe a couple pages, and
Mhm.
they told Behind the Shutter emailed me and told me that my article is the best article this month, that everybody has talked about.
Wow.
Right,
Congratulations.
he wrote it. So congrats to her.
Look, congratulations, wife. Her name is Marcia, right? Is it
Yes,
Marcia? Mm-hmm. Yes, I said congratulations. Look, behind every wonderful man, next to, behind, all around,
she
there's a
said,
strong woman.
congratulations.
I can't take credit
She,
for it. I just wrote down.
she said okay. She's coming over here.
Hi. Howie, I love your swimwear line.
Thank you so much. Thank
It is beautiful, and I just like the quality is just wonderful.
you. Thank
I
you.
was like, you know what, this couple right here. Look, I don't even know y'all like that, but I'll be bragging about y'all. Be like, you gotta check out his page. No, like I'm sending people y'all the stuff, like the videos and stuff that y'all have, because I know you did the YouTube where you had different videos up of like, things y'all were doing where there was photo shoots, especially with the bathing suits and everything like that, or the
Yeah.
swimwear line. So I was like, I tell my sister, because I have a twin, and I think you have a twin too.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
And I'm sitting there telling my sister, talking about y'all the whole time. And she's like, just send me his stuff, Trish. Just send me his stuff. But yes, y'all two are awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so much. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. About the article, I was saying I can't really take credit. Antwon talks to me about photography, and I'm around him so much.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like I can't take credit for. I just can write, his words. He talks to me about it so much that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Look, you picking it up for him. You like, okay, so we're gonna put this together, and it's gonna work. And
Yeah.
now you're the top one on what is it, Shutter magazine?
Oh, Behind the Shutter.
Behind the Shutter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. See, look, it works together. That's how y'all married.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a writer. Like I don't write. I just, and she was like, oh, I'll write it for you. So I was like, okay, if you write it, I'll give you the money that they give me. And I'll take the photo credit, and then I'll give you the funds. And yeah,
All right now.
yeah. So, it worked out well.
Exactly. So, hey, now you have, another thing under your belt as an accomplishment.
Right. Yep.
So now getting into how is it working with because I'm assuming that technically your partner is a part of your team. So how is it working with your wife at times where I saw that with the twins, the little girls, I can't remember their names right now, but she was helping out and she was doing a lot with that. But she does a lot with a lot of everything.
Yeah. So Marcia is a very big part in my photography when it comes to just everything from support to ideas, to just manual labor help. She's helping out moving lights, and she's moving these things, moving those things, and also too, I like having her there because especially when I'm photographing models, females. I love having her there because it lessens the nervousness of models shooting with a man, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm always an advocate for models bringing somebody, whether it's another female, male, your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother.
Yep.
You could bring your whole cheerleading team if you want to. I don't care. As long as you bring somebody that you're comfortable with, and that's gonna, I'm completely and open with. I never want anybody to feel uncomfortable on set, or even in my presence. I don't care who it is. And so, but having her there, just relax myself as well as the individual that is around us. It just makes things a lot easier when she's there. So she's a real big on set.
And I saw her, she was kicking the pool. She was setting up the background, getting everything together. Y'all, I believe y'all did y'all were taking photos of models in her swimwear.
Right.
And y'all did the whole setup. I was like, this is so gorgeous. I think it was like as y'all were setting it up.
Yeah, it was
everything.
Yeah, it was
I think it was like white curtains.
Yeah, it was a pergola that we so I had an inspiration. I was like, hey, I want to do this inspiration. And then she's like, okay. And then I'm like, yeah, let's figure it out and whatever. So we pretty much like took that inspiration of the IG story that I saw or posted I saw, and then basically we just implemented it onto our balcony. So we have a very large balcony. L-shaped balcony. We have a studio apartment, but we have an L-shaped balcony, and large. And her father came over. It took us like 2 days to do it, and her father like cut the wood, and we put it together. We painted it, filled it with water. We built, and it turned out actually turned out really good.
It looked good. I was like, wow, because when I think of like a set like that, I'm thinking, okay, we maybe they just went somewhere and it was already together. But no, y'all actually took and did it yourselves.
Yeah, we're not builders. None of us are builders. We have zero skill in building something, but we understand the concept of putting things together. And you would have never known, by what we built from the images that we are not skilled in any type of anything.
Okay. Well, I want to get into now mindset.
Okay.
But when I say mindset, I'm thinking of, okay, so before this time, I know we had a discussion and you were saying that you were charging a lot less than what you charge now.
Yeah.
So what was the transition in as far as mindset and actually knowing your worth and not being afraid to, move forward?
So as I mentioned before, the team that I have with Sarah and Mark and Taylor and Ed and them and my wife, they are the key into how my prices changed from what it was to what it is now. It's like I said, even my mind frame and my mindset with everything, they were hyping more than what they're like, I don't think they're like, quote, you don't know how dope you are. Do you understand how amazing of a photographer you are? like it was those words of affirmation that were very key to my confidence. I'm a very I'm a very easy person to let things block my vision, how I feel, and I get in my own head. And so they just literally just like gave me a lot of support and boosted my ego. And once my website finally, once Ed finished my, he finally launched it. Um, his thing was on your rates, we put 5,000 and below. And then it went from 5,000 and below to 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 20,000, 20,000 to 30,000, and whatever. And so what happened was he was trying to weed out the individuals that was trying to charge me or pay me $500. Shoot. And so I'm like, how in the world can I get somebody? I have a hard time getting people to pay me $500. How on earth am I going to get people to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for a shoot? And then he said, why? And so he was like, Antwon, please just try it. Just try it. So I'm like, all right, man, like I'm gonna try it and we're gonna see what happens. Cause I'm a person, I love to tell you so. I love to tell you I told you so. Like that's me. That's like one of my favorite cards to pull out is the told you so card. The I told you so card. Literally, I launched the site. I'll say within a day, I had a shoot booked, and the client wanted she was doing a book and the images, and I charged her $6,000. I said, you know what? Let's just try to see what happens, and I charged her $6,000, and she didn't even flinch. She was like, okay, signed it, boom, done, and then wanted even more additional. She paid me even more money than what she paid me originally, than what the contract was. And so I'm like, damn, like somebody just paid me $6,000 I would have done originally for 5 or 4,000. Well, not 4, but like 1,000 or whatever. And then literally the next shoot after that was another shoot that was worth 6,000. I mean, another like 5,500. And then that shoot like $3,000. And so now I'm like, and then literally the very first 8 shoots that I booked basically were all around that same pricing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so now my rate went from, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna, I have to change my rate now because in this time I was also traveling to LA. I was shooting Lee Snell. I was shooting, you know, I went on, as my wife called it, my blue check tour. I was shooting Jesse, shooting Jackie, shooting T.I. stepdaughter. I was shooting Jordan Wood, you know, this whole time shooting all these people and magazines and stuff like that. And that's when like things just like clicked for me. And I was getting more people asking me to do lives, and I was becoming an influencer in a sense. Yeah, it just changed for me. And my mindset literally changed to, I'm just not a photographer, but I'm actually like a brand. And now I represent myself as that. And yeah, and so now, like literally, I mean, I don't wanna, you know, basically my base rate, you know, at 4 is $1,500. And that's basically just for me to come and teach your stuff. Edits, that's not hair, that's not makeup, that's not studio, that's not licensing for images. That's just straight up for half a day for me, because I feel like I'm bringing more to your shoot than just me clicking a button. It's the whole, it's a Zoom call, me and my team with you about how we're going to put your shoot together. It's the mood boards that I'm putting together for your shoot to let everybody know what they're doing. It's the continuous conversation with the client leading up to the it's all of the things that ties into why my rate is what it is.
So, and I believe that if someone sees value in what you're doing, they don't people don't care what the price is.
Right.
If they want something done, just like if somebody says, okay, I want $1,000 belt. Don't ask me why, but $1,000 belt. They're going to go get that $1,000 belt. Because number one, if they can afford a $1,000 belt, they're going to get it.
I've seen.
Yeah, me on the other hand, I'm a little cheaper, so ain't nobody spending no $1,000 on the belt.
Right. I've seen
But
so many people that say they can't afford something.
mm-hmm.
And it's about how bad you want it. So
Yep.
if you want to go out and you want to spend 2,000, I mean, if you want to spend $300-$400 on them Jordans, or you want to spend $200 on a belt or whatever, then you can drop a lot of money. I mean, you can drop money on doing a photo shoot, because
Exactly.
you, at the end of the day, and this is what I try to tell a lot of my clients, at the end of the day, what you're doing, you're buying a replica of something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the photography, it's only one of me that can shoot you like this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from my mind and my creativity and my hands to be able to photograph you, light you in this kind of way, edit you in this kind of way, and give you the vision that you're looking for, and basically put in a digital format. When you go to the store and you buy a belt, that's something that's recreated over and over and over and over again, and you're walking around with the same belt as everybody else has on.
Exactly.
So if you can pay them hundreds of dollars for a replica, you can pay me for one of.
Exactly. And I feel like why not put something towards building your career, building your brand, your future?
Right.
Not something that's going to get old, it's going to wear out, and you might lose.
Buy a new one. Right.
Exactly. So, but getting into, somebody said, what was the feedback on those images?
Thank you for watching part 1. Now check out part 2 with special guest Antwon Maxwell on When Models Talk.